Picard, Season 3, Episode 1. What can I say? Well, it's better than the first two, but then again, that's not hard, is it? Season 2 took the Borg, a species that went around the universe subjugating everybody into their oppressive hive mind where everybody was forced to agree, and changed them into a species that went around the universe assimilating people out of love and virtue. I'm pretty sure they did it because the NPC meme was a bit too accurate and hit a nerve. When one of your favourite villains of all time actually perfectly describes yourself as a writer, yeah, you're gonna have a reason to change it. But you know, we're moving past that into the future with a new crew, which is the old crew that everybody really likes, but we don't have to mention the first two series. We can forget about it, just memory hole all of it. As long as we don't remind the audience of what we've done, we'll be okay.
To my surprise, the Borg have maintained their position, waiting for us to come out of hiding.
We're about 20 seconds in, you already couldn't keep your mouth shut. Let Season 1 and 2 die. Burn the DVDs if you have to. And yes, this is referencing the Next Generation Borg, but honestly, that just makes it sting even more. But we start with Beverly Crusher. For me, a character that's just meh. One thing I do have to congratulate her for is putting up with Wesley for all of those seasons, though. Honestly, putting up with him alone, I think you definitely earn your money for those seasons. Issue is her ship is damaged. People are hunting for her and she's trying to escape. There's a guy off in the room to her left, which... She decides to lock him in there against his own will. Why did you never do that to Wesley Crusher? You had plenty of opportunity. Instead, maybe this is a whole new Beverly Crusher, one which is willing to do what must be done. Eject him out of an airlock, think of the memes. The issue is she's getting boarded. And let's be honest, a single mum of her age with two men who want to board her isn't a common occurrence. I can understand why she's surprised. Although I have to say, if your first meeting goes this badly, maybe you should have just done a Zoom call first or something. So she starts blasting and misses everything because at the end of the day, she's a doctor, you can kind of understand it. The amount of rounds that just randomly hit walls in this scene is insane. So she empties her entire mag because she aims like me, having spent 35 years in the UK, and takes return fire, as well as a load of automatic laser fire when she goes to get another one. Now, for some reason, after she's been shot, she can suddenly aim again and very quickly dispatches the other two people. She went through an entire magazine before, couldn't do anything. Now, easy. Even does the old gas from the ceiling trick. He starts shooting into it. It doesn't hit anything. But then she decides to walk through it, completely standing up and gets him. I'm like, what would you have done if he just kept shooting, love? You would have taken two to the chest. I expected her to come rolling along the floor on a tray or something through it. But instead, no, I'm just going to walk through and assume I'm not going to take any damage. Luckily for her, it worked, although she's injured. She's a medic, I'm sure she'll be fine. And she decides as her final act to send a message to Jean-Luc Picard.
This message is for Admiral Jean-Luc Picard.
I just said that, love. You're not even Deanna Troi, at least she could have read my mind. But at that moment, 3 more ships turn up as the ship warps away, and for some reason, they don't follow it. And we get the classic music because that's what this episode is about. Kind of. For the first scene, I did like it. I don't mind Star Trek being a bit more battle kind of packed. With Deep Space Nine and everything, we saw the ship-to-ship battles. I actually quite like that. I think it did a good job of setting up the tension. You wondered what on earth is going on, and it set the stakes right from the start. It was a good hook. Let's hope they don't do anything to ruin that hook. That'd be stupid. Part 1, The Next Generation. Even though this is like the previous generation. Wouldn't the next generation be your kids or something? Instead, no, we're getting back the boomers. Speaking of boomers, it's Jean-Luc Picard. And the woman from the previous 2 seasons, who for me is probably my favourite character out of those 2 seasons. And she's not in this one, and I think it's better for it. I don't know why this scene exists. It's completely pointless. Should we just put this in to mention Geordi so they know he's coming back later in the series if they haven't watched the trailer? You know, give them a reason to keep watching right off the bat. Literally the only thing of mention in this scene.
I didn't think they had spring cleaning on Romulus.
We don't.
See, I told you there was some amazing stuff in this scene that you just desperately had to know about. Oh, please, tell me more about how Romulus handles their dusting.
I want to give it to Geordi.
Okay, that's that scene done.
He is running the Fleet Museum.
Okay, maybe needed to know that as well.
The past matters, and that's okay.
The past of this show doesn't matter, love. You ruin the Borg. Leave it where it is. Let the past die. Kill it if you have to. And believe me, there's a few more scenes in this episode where you will absolutely agree with me. The past just keeps hanging around and nobody knows why it exists.
These things from my past, they're so dear to me.
They could have protected the Borg then, couldn't you? But I don't know why you keep bringing up the board. It's almost like you're incredibly bitter. Yes, bitter, British and caffeinated. That's the real BBC.
A point comes in a man's life when he looks to the past to define himself.
Well, and Patrick Stewart looked at The Next Generation and then they looked at Picard season 1 and 2 and thought, this is a big mistake. I need to bring them all back and save this mess. But later that night, he hears a comm badge going off.
Computer, do you hear that alert?
Yes.
Where is it?
Unable to determine location.
Well, you're not a very smart computer then, are you? I can make my phone ring in another room and tell you the location of it. How can an advanced computer AI not do that for you? What is it, ChatGPT after they put the filters on? We've invented an AI and then lobotomized it. Welcome to the future. Either way, he looks through a load of boxes and in with his old uniform, finds his comm badge, which for some reason still works talks and, like, has power and everything. Look, I understand this is a future, but surely he's got to plug it into, like, USB-C occasionally or something. No, it's got his own little nuclear reactor inside it.
Computer analyze. What could it possibly be receiving?
Jean-Luc, I know you're getting old a bit, but what do you think that a communications device would be receiving? Hang on, my phone's ringing. What could that be? Do you think someone's trying to call it, or has my car run out of petrol? Computer, analyze my email. Did someone send a mail or a steak to it? I'm not sure.
Detecting encrypted long-range transmission via a subspace frequency.
A long-range communication to a comms badge? Are you insane, computer?
Why would anyone send a coded message to an Enterprise D communicator?
They saw season 2 and were pissed off about the Borg, so wanted to see if they could get in touch and rant at you. Okay, I'll let it go. But he decodes the transmission. Obviously, it's the Doctor. It's a set of coordinates, the word Hellbird, and one very important message.
Jean-Luc, no. Starfleet, trust no one.
Yeah, don't trust Starfleet. Don't trust anybody. Don't tell anybody about this at all. I'm dying. I've sent you one message. It's very clear. You better not break that, dude.
She's terrified.
I didn't cut that. That's literally the very next scene. Jean-Luc, don't tell anybody. So she told me this. The very next scene is him telling someone about it.
I haven't spoken with her for over 20 years. She just cut us off.
She probably heard about the book. Okay, I'll leave it alone. But the rest of the scene is mostly sort of reminders. Oh, well, you're trying to get together once, didn't you? So you were clearly close. That's why she trusts you. But they come to the only sane conclusion that you can come to if you want another serious adventure. And that is, obviously, you've got to go and help. She's got no one else left. She just contacted you. You can't just leave her out there. Despite the fact that she only gave you one instruction and you've already broken it. So these scenes very slow, very drawn out, with a character that I think is the best of the first 2 seasons, but still don't really care about her. You had a great intro and then immediately slowed them down with this. It's not what I would have done. Where I would have gone is here, because this is where the show really starts to pick up. And look who it is. It's William Riker, and for once it's not a 5-minute YouTube compilation of him asking me if the balloon is real or telling me no in various different ways. We get a weird comment about how the Galaxy-class ships aren't selling because nobody likes the fat ones. Not even sure what that's meant to reference. But Picard turns up to meet them. Apparently they're doing some kind of special event.
You hear that, Jean-Luc? No one wants the fat ones. Galaxy class to you, young lady.
I think the preferred term now is morbidly brave. But Picard says, I wouldn't have asked to meet you here unless it was very important. And I appreciate you giving up your family time.
Actually, Deanna and Kestra will appreciate the time away from me.
Uh-oh, Riker's a bad dad, and his wife, you know, I'm such a horrible person, my wife will definitely appreciate me being out of the house for once because I'm just a horrible person she can't stand. I know a lot of people have said this show gets much better later on, but there are definitely some holdouts from season 1 and 2 in here. But they have a discussion about the message, about what Miriam Codec means, and about how when you were incapacitated, as Locutus, there was a computer virus that destroyed our navigation, added 3 to all the numbers, and that's how your message is encrypted.
Evelyn's message references these coordinates. Trust no one with them.
Oh, you remembered that bit, did you? Trust nobody! So, I've told 2 people already, it's not going well. I'm also in a public bar talking about it, and if we have parabolic microphones, I guarantee they have something far more sophisticated. The thing is, though, Riker is incredible. Picard, he's getting on a bit, his acting isn't as good as it used to be, but Riker's still in his prime. The enthusiasm and energy that he brings to this in this episode is amazing. It was like stepping back in time to episode 2, and the banter that these two have is great throughout the entire episode. Their interactions, largely because of Riker, is easily the high point of this episode. He's the one that brings the kind of bounce and impact to everything, and Picard, I mean, he does what he can, which is largely play this sort of past it, annoyed person. But they work out that actually they've got to go to the Ryton system, which is on the edge or just outside Federation space.
In all the years I have known her, I've never seen her so frightened and terrified.
Maybe she just watched the season 2 finale and realized that Wesley Crusher was still alive. He's not only still alive, he's mastered time and space and can travel anywhere. He was bad enough as it was, now imagine him projecting himself through the rest of time. That's enough to scare anybody. So they realize they need a ship, but they can't ask Starfleet, although Riker's got a plan. So they leave the bar, and they walk past this guy, who's clearly spying on them, and he's holding a ship pointed directly at their table, which I guarantee you is like a parabolic microphone. But as it is in the shape of the Enterprise, all I can say is... you can't park there, mate. But overall, Picard, Riker scene, great piece of the episode, would have put it directly after the intro myself. And I wouldn't have shown this either, because I don't know what this is, but this character shouldn't have even been in season 3. We have a scene that was so long and boring, I thought I was back in Andor again, as she just spends her time walking through a city for about half an hour. I'm not joking, we spend all this time just walking here. Oh no, we're doing it to set up the environment of the world that she's on, which is irrelevant because we're going to leave it almost immediately after I've had one conversation. So she starts talking to a dealer, and obviously this is the pilot from episode 1 and 2, who did have a habit back then as well. Thing is, she starts asking for information extremely bluntly, extremely badly written, extremely extremely obviously, this was not good writing. I'm also not really saying that the rest of the episode is either. I'm fully aware that I could just be blinded by the Next Generation cast coming back into the show. But if that's enough to entertain me, I also don't care. It just highlights the obvious weaknesses in the rest of the episode. So she starts telling him, oh, there was weapons stolen. I really need to know the weapons stolen. Here's some money. Tell me about the weapons. And he's panicking because she's talking about world-ending weapons. It's not small fry stuff, and he doesn't want to give her any information until she pays him. This scene lasts forever with a character I don't care about and a plot line I don't care about either. But he gives her information. It's the Red Lady. I'm not going to tell you any more, though. So she walks away down a back alley, gets out to communicate her, and in the middle of this very open back alley where anyone could have a microphone on you again,
Starfleet Intelligence Officer Commander Rafi Musiker.
There were some people just over there on that left corner, and she's like, I'm part of Starfleet Intelligence. Does anybody want to know? What are you doing?
Secure channel. Requesting a debriefing.
I'm pretty sure this is a person. That's a pair of legs. There is someone on camera in the distance when she's going, I'm a member of Starfleet Intelligence. This is my deep cover under operation I've been doing for months on this planet. How has nobody found me here before? And she's like struggling because she's still got the stuff she bought from him. Oh, I might fall back on hard times and take it again. And I'm just thinking, I don't care about you. I don't know why you're here. This is about the Next Generation crew coming back into the series. Why are you still hanging around? You realized you needed to get rid of everybody else? Why the exception? I don't even think she was the best character. The one in his chateau was. Now, back to characters that people actually like with Picard and Riker. Now, I can't see these space stations without thinking of the old Star Trek game, Starfleet Command 2. Largely because I've blown a lot of them up. It was a game I absolutely loved as a kid. Always played Mirac. You would just swarm people with missiles, and swarming these with missiles until they ran out of tractor beams was great fun. Unfortunately, we're not going to blow this one up.
I'm not sure about this plan.
Nor am I. Your plan sucks, to be honest. They're going to go on, pretend to do an inspection, but somehow convince him to travel in the opposite direction for basically no reason whatsoever. It is literally because they think the captain will want to show off by traveling double the distance. Oh yeah, my ship can travel at maximum speed for a bit. I'm not joking, that's their actual plan.
It's not really a plan, it's a ruse.
It's not even a ruse, it's more like a desperate hope.
Give me one of those disapproving, sour expressions you're famous for.
Like I said, the banter between them is great, but it really is Riker that's carrying it.
Hello, beautiful.
Hey, the old dog still got it. Oh, you mean the ship. So this is the Titan. They call it Neo-Constitution, which is a stupid name. It's been refit, so it's not a Constitution class, it's Neo-Constitution class, but Neo just means new. So what happens when you do the next refit? Is that going to be post-Neo-Constitution class? So it's going to be post-new, even though it's new and that's old now? This is the kind of naming strategy you do when you only think about the now and not next time. Unless you call all of the latest refits the Neo-Constitution class, in which case you'd have to rename all of the old ones as you go along with an entirely new name that people would just have to learn in case they wanted to reference them in the past. This is an empire that rules over a significant part of the galaxy and you can't even name a ship correctly.
It's the new refit, Neo-Constitution class.
Doesn't come across any better when you say it, mate. But they say the captain's not a friendly face, but the first officer, them you're gonna like. It's 7 of 9, well, ish.
Well, this is 7 of 9.
Commander Annika Hansen.
Yes, we're not going by 7 anymore.
Captain Shaw prefers that I use Hansen.
I think the question is, why don't you prefer that you use Hansen? So I was kidnapped as a kid by the Borg because back then they hadn't been destroyed and so didn't go around the universe spreading peace and love everywhere like futuristic hippies. And the people that kidnapped me as a child and destroyed all of my mental capability to be an individual called me 7 of 9. And then when I escaped from them, I just kept the name, decided I wasn't going to go by any other name, that'd be fine. I don't know, if someone kidnapped me and gave me a name when I came back, I'd probably change it. It was probably explained in Voyager, but I can't remember it, and it's funnier this way. So they walk past the crew, pretending to do an inspection. I'm going to straighten your badge and look at your chin in an attempt to intimidate you with my bald head. I don't know what's going on here. The captain wants to meet them for dinner, and 7 is already bad-mouthing him.
Terrific.
If I were you, I'd lower my expectations.
This is Picard Season 3. After the first 2, our expectations can't get any lower, love. It's like at a restaurant if they give you a plate warmer with all the candles underneath to keep it warm. Like, careful of that, it's hot. What did you think I was going to do with it? The clue for me not to touch it is when there was fire underneath it. The clue for me here is when I saw Star Trek in the year 2023. So the two of them get introduced to the bridge. All the crew stand up as the strong and brave among them break those conventional beauty standards. I'm sorry, did you run an iron over your face? Are you just pleased to see me?
It's got that new ship smell.
Nah, sorry, that was just Picard as he walked past you. It's that Romulan ale, it goes straight through you.
Is there something wrong with that, Hansen?
7, there seems to be a person on the bridge smiling at me. Is she a nutter? Do you think we could lower the average level of happiness in the room? It's giving me indigestion.
Enter the Forge, eyes on your station.
The Forge?
I can understand why you're surprised. He's changed the wonders of surgery in Star Trek, eh? But obviously no, it's just his daughter. His daughter with a strange nickname.
Didn't you have a nickname at the Academy?
Will.
Crash La Forge.
La Forge actually had the same nickname, but it's when his visor was running Windows 98 and kept blue screening all the time.
Because you crashed the shuttle?
I was a cadet.
Twice.
Riker really is carrying this show on his back, isn't he? But they head out to the space station. Picard kind of doesn't know what he's doing. He's not used to everything on the ship, and he lets Seven take charge. And overall, the graphics are really well done. There's a couple of scenes where the ship really doesn't look real. It's almost a bit too smooth and polished and shiny. But as I've said before, CGI and things, I'm not that bothered about, and it's not something I'd mark anything down for. I mean, I watched all the Outposts, and anyone saw the first episode of that. Oh, now there was a lesson in bad graphics. But Seven says, prepare for maximum warp.
Don't you think you should alert engineering?
Yeah, he starts giving her tips, even though she definitely will have done this before. Don't you think you should phone down to engineering and tell them that you're going to go to warp at maximum because, you know, engines and stuff? And he thinks that's perfectly normal because that's what he had to do, although her response...
That's no longer protocol. It's all automated now.
Why wasn't it automated before? Of all things you could have done to show Picard having outdated information, you choose that? I mean, seriously, why wasn't it done before? On the panel, you tell the ship what warp you're going to, and engineering, it should just be there anyway. I'm confused why it wasn't in engineering before. It's a computer. This isn't difficult. I'm just surprised the Enterprise can't do something that I can do on my computer, that's all. But Picard's obviously embarrassed. He realizes he's got outdated information.
You're going to be a captain before you know it, Commander.
Oh yeah, nice work, love. It was just a test. It was all a test. Don't worry about it.
Excellent recovery, Admiral.
Shut it, Will.
Like I said, the banter between those two, it just carries the episode. Now onto probably my second favorite scene with the captain, who's already started eating long before they've arrived. And look who it is. It's the guy from 12 Monkeys. And he's also playing a very similar character to what he did in 12 Monkeys. Now, it is different in that this, apparently, he's just very for the rule book. Everything is done pristine, to the letter, by the book in all counts. But he's got this kind of edge to him and still comes across as kind of a criminal. To me, it does seem like they took the 12 Monkeys character and then just put him in that seat and told him, yeah, but this time you obey the rules, trust us. Because I don't think the way he acts actually comes across as someone that would do everything by the book, but that's what we're supposed to believe. Oh, and he hates the Borg, which given that his first officer is Seven and we've got Locutus sitting across from him, goes about as well as you'd expect.
Hanson, there really is no need for intros.
Captain, are we late?
Hardly. Just your reputation preceded you so far into the room that I started early.
And I can't stand you because you used to be the Borg. And I also don't know why someone like that would have Seven as their first officer. I was under the impression that the captain helped choose their first officer, but obviously not in this case. He spends the entire time sort of verbally destroying them with death by 1,000 cuts, insulting their wine.
Chateau Picard. That is terrific. I'm much more of a Malbec man myself.
If your guest brings you a gift, you don't generally go, I don't really like that though. If there's one face Picard can still pull, it is brutally offended. Are your manners, good sir? He moves on to Riker, insulting his taste of music. I had to clear out all of that junk jazz that you listen to. I don't like jazz, I like tempo and time, I like structure, which is probably why your inspection will be boring.
We won't be blowing things up. Engaging in fire, crash landing.
Yes, their reputation precedes them, and he hates it. And hates them along with it. But then we move on to their actual plan or ruse, and it's delivered in the exact horrible manner you would expect for a plan that's so utterly awful to begin with. Like I say, there are elements that I really like. I really like the people going back, and they do blind me to certain things. But when you actually analyze the script and the plan so far, it's not a strong point at all. For instance, this is how he delivers their ruse. Bearing in mind, their story is to be on here to inspect the ship, and he's just gone, we won't find much to look at, because our hull is clean and our engines are pristine.
Indeed, which is why Captain Riker and I would like to change course.
Yeah, just come out and say it. Just deliver it, blunt to the face. We've come for an inspection to inspect your crew and your engines. That's why we want you to travel in the wrong direction, please. What's your reason for that, then?
At half warp, double the speed, it's an even split.
Okay, if you go in the wrong direction and double your distance, but do it at double the speed, you end up at the same time. Fine. Why?
And why would we do that?
Exactly my question. I knew there was a reason I liked you in 12 Monkeys.
Bragging rights.
Okay, Riker, I like you, but that is a reason so bad Ezra Miller,
the Mad Goose Wizard,
could have come up with it.
You show the efficiency of the new Titan. It's a great story.
Your story's getting worse, not better. You do realize that, right? Ah, yes, bragging rights. I've got a new vessel, you see. My vessel can actually travel at its stated speed, which everyone expects it to. You're not pushing the boundaries of anything here, dear. Look at me as I travel at 70 miles an hour down the motorway, which is the allowed limit. Are you impressed yet?
Final engineering inspection at Deep Space 4.
Oh yeah, and Picard, he's still past it. He hasn't been keeping up on the information, you see.
DS4 has been shut down for a year.
I believe the Admiral means DS-11.
Ah yes, Deep Space 11, maybe Deep Space 9, Babylon 5, everybody! It's a sale, everything must go, whatever excuse we think we can nail out next. Why did we think this plan would work again, and why did nobody check it through first? But this next delivery by Shaw is perfect, and it's exactly like his character in 12 Monkeys, which is why I like him.
No.
There are times when you look at modern TV and you're just like, I hate all of it. I hate all of these characters. Is it me? It's like, no, it's not me. It's definitely them. In season 1 and 2, I couldn't stand the new cast. And now you've got this guy, and I think he's awesome. Clearly not me then, is it? So at least I know it's not me. I've just got, standards.
No.
No.
No? I'm Jean-Luc Picard. No one's ever said no to me before. And he's like, I've kept this train running by following the book, following the rules, and you want me to travel in the wrong direction? No.
I am an admiral.
Retired.
Get wrecked. Respectfully, Captain, I am an admiral. Can't you see how angry I am as the light bounces off my face?
Congrats on that.
But I'm still a captain.
Without a chair.
And what would that have done anyway? Oh, this captain comes onto your ship and tells you, a captain, to change course. Well, we're the same rank, but you know what the difference is between us two? It's my pissing ship. This is why I say it was a terrible plan. I don't know what their plan was. It wasn't convincing. There was no reason for him to obey it. And you've got bragging rights that your ship can move a bit isn't a reason.
We have orders from actual officers whose pay grade are far above all of ours. Request denied.
And yet I still love this scene. Despite everything, despite all of the problems that I pointed out, still think this is the second best scene of the episode. And it's all because of the 3 people in this room, the way they played it, the tension they built up, and the way he delivered his lines. The plan was awfully written, and it's a terrible part of the script. The rest of it, really like. And I'm not sure whether it's the words, I kind of doubt that. I think it's far more the delivery and the actors involved. More of this, please. But it's not over yet. The captain keeps on, and he kind of exposes the way he treats 7 of 9.
Hansen, your loyalty lies with this ship, not to old friends, former ex-Borg.
Oh, you can't discriminate against the people that destroyed entire planets. That'll be a bit rude. Clearly a story there, and honestly, after what you did to the Borg at the end of season 2, I'm with him. Quite frankly, I don't like the Borg now anymore either, unless you're going to retcon them in this series, and for some reason, I doubt it. And if she turns up and tries to save him with peace and free love, I'm walking out.
That's enough, Captain.
Thank you for the parting punctuation.
But now they're all offended. You don't talk to Picard like that, and I can't believe you've turned down our plan, which we had no reason for you to actually obey in the first place. And so Shaw has had enough, and he leaves.
How do we pivot?
Short of mutiny, I'm at a loss.
Bear that in mind, if the crew goes against the captain's wishes, that's mutiny. Kind of a big deal. But 7 clearly realizes there's more to this than meets the eye. Oh, make her do a big sigh so the audience realizes that she realizes what's going on. Back in the land of the person that no one gives a crap about. Oh, I'm looking at pictures. She's talking with her intelligence handler, and like every spy organization, they clearly write Starfleet Intelligence at the top just in case anyone's standing behind you and knows, just to tell everyone that you are a deep cover operative. So she tells her handler, I haven't found anything, I can't find any searches, I don't know anything about it. Can you tell me anything?
Oh no.
Well, you're a lot of use, aren't you? But obviously she does what a character always does, and it's something that's really endearing and really makes the audience feel closer to her. She starts moaning about how horrible her life is. Oh, please, won't someone think about my fifis? You should be grateful you're in this season at all of not moaning about how horrible your life is.
I'm spiraling here. I've been under for the months.
Oh, Diddums, I'm so sorry for you. Imagine an undercover intelligence operative actually being undercover for a bit. Who could have predicted this? It must have taken you by surprise. I can understand why it's affecting you so badly. But she's so busy telling the handler, which is really just an excuse to tell the audience how virtuous she is. I'm worried about these weapons. The weapons could be used. I'm worried constantly that weapons could be used on innocent people. Please, like me for something, because I'm such a nice person. I'm worried about the weapons. And I'm crying. Don't you feel sorry for me because I'm crying? It all feels like a desperately forced scene to try and fend off the questions of, why are you even in this series? How come they yeeted everybody else and kept you?
You have no idea how hard it is to be in this world.
It's a bit on the nose, isn't it?
I do.
Yes, at that moment, the handler goes, no, I understand exactly how hard it is for you. Look, here's your Starfleet file. You were dishonorably discharged. You've got all of these character flaws, and you've had 13 court-martial level offenses. And you do like shoving things up your nose, don't you?
Well, as far as mysterious handlers go, you're very detail-oriented.
No, they're not. They had your file. It was all written down for them. Detail-oriented. You're part of Starfleet. Somebody else did all the work. She just read it for a bit. This is hardly top-secret intelligence work. She opened a PDF. If you're surprised by that, I should show you a lighter sometime. Fire from his fingers. This is incredible. But she tells her this stolen weapon is an act of war. And you are a warrior. So do your pissing job and find the Red Lady and stop moaning about it. I think the handler was just a stand-in for the audience to give her a reason to spout a load of exposition at the audience. But boy, did they speak for him when it's just like, will you shut up and do your job? Nobody cares about your fee-fees. So we jump back to the ship so we can look at characters we actually care about.
This is utterly humiliating.
To be fair, Patrick, that was season 1 and 2. At least this is a step up. It can get worse.
Yes, it is.
Oh, he means being on bunk beds.
Reminds me of my cadet days. Only I don't remember having to get up to pee this much.
You can always just not get up, roll over, do it anyway, give Picard the surprise of his life. Why is it raining? Have we torn a hole in the space-time continuum again? But they get called into a room with Seven, and she demands to know what's going on.
You're gonna tell me what the hell you two are really doing here, or I'm about to throw both of you out an airlock and never look back.
Again, you sat through season 1 and 2 and never did that to him. You could have saved us a lot of trouble. And just as we start to get to some good stuff, well, a step above stuff, suddenly you're like, shall I just end it here because we can't have any quality in Star Trek anymore?
Is that how you speak to an admiral?
That's how I speak to a friend.
I know you used to be a Borg, but I'm assuming you don't have many friends. No, of course I wouldn't threaten to throw an admiral out of an airlock, but my friends, you should see him. Look, there's one floating past that window over there. Bye! I don't think that line carries the weight that you think it does, or even gives the meaning that you think it does. But it is enough to prompt them to tell her the story.
She's wounded. She said trust no one, including Starfleet.
So we told you about it. I tell you, if they get to Beverly and rescue her, she is going to be pissed. I give you 2 instructions. Don't tell Starfleet and don't tell anybody. And now, he's not only told 3 people with it, one of them's in Starfleet. Well, Riker is, but he's not under a command. She's a serving officer on a ship. It's now her duty to tell everyone.
We didn't want you to become complicit.
Complicit? She's now committing a coup.
Jeopardize your career.
It's too late for that, love. But then we get Seven moaning about how when she was a Ranger, she could do whatever she wanted, but now she can't do it. She's on Starfleet, and she's just following so many rules. There's so many rules I've got to follow all the time. Because if there's one thing 7 of 9 doesn't like, who came from the Borg, following rules. You know, order. The Borg definitely don't like that. 7 of 9 definitely doesn't like that. No, 7 of 9 is a free spirit that just loves going out and doing whatever she wants all of the time. Who is this person?
You and Janeway convinced me to join Starfleet.
You're actually talking about it as if it's in reverse. You were in Starfleet first, or at least working on a starship as if you were part of Starfleet, Voyager, for years. 7 was the person who was like, I have improved your efficiency by 7%, because if you do this, and this, then you can cut down your time traveling across the ship by going through these different portals instead. She was always the one about efficiency, order, and structure. And then for some reason, she went, oh, I'm just a free spirit who can do whatever she wants and trust her gut. But then you convinced me to join Starfleet, and now I can't handle the rules. This is almost the exact opposite of the reality that happened. I'm trying to forget Picard season 1 and 2. She's forgot Voyager.
Thought this could be the right path for me.
It would have been for 7 of 9, but you're not acting like 7 of 9. Maybe it was right that you changed your name.
I thought I could one day inspire people to follow me, even if it's dangerous, the way that you did.
You're the first officer on a starship. What do you think you do? When the captain is busy, you take on the captain's role, which means you have to inspire the entire ship to follow you into danger. You're like, why won't anyone do this for me? When people are literally doing it on the ship you are standing on in the position that you currently employ. None of this delusional rant makes any sense. Don't give us those looks as if what she said was deep. You're not convincing anyone, but she continues to moan about Shaw and how Shaw's mean to me. Why?
How am I supposed to just ignore my gut, ignore my instincts, just to follow orders?
I don't know. Why don't you act like 7 of 9 who came from the Borg, where that's all she did for years? And then you became free, became an individual, and you know what you did? You maintained order. Oh, how could I possibly be the person that I've been for the majority of my life? I just can't think of why. But now we've all been discussing our fifis, but don't make any sense at all, we've decided to drop out of warp. We've arrived. She took them exactly where they wanted to go. She disobeyed orders. She has led a coup against the captain. Now, the crew don't know that they've disobeyed orders, but it's still essentially a coup. But she continues to make the crew complicit in an act that they don't even know they're doing, as she sends them down to get a shuttle and says in 4 minutes, I will call the guard away. They can slip unnoticed.
You understand consequences of what you've done for us?
Yeah, I'd kick you out of Starfleet. But this is Picard. Anything could happen. They might promote her, who knows? But the nebula is a rather noisy nebula, and so it wakes the captain up. So he finds out they've traveled to the wrong place and she's broken their orders. He locks the ship down so no one can leave. But it's too late because there's been an unauthorized shuttle bay launch. And for some reason, even though we're in the future, we still haven't worked a way to stop that happening. Do you think we should keep those shuttle bay doors locked? It's a force field. Okay, should we make the force field so people can't just go through it? Nah, we trust everyone on board the ship. I'm sure that'll never backfire on us in any story whatsoever. But it's already happened a load of times. Yeah, but it's not going to happen again. So they fly off to the nebula.
I like that 7.
I don't know why. She didn't give you any reason to. She whined at you about her feelings and then led a coup against the captain. It's not exactly what I'd call great first impressions.
You just loyaltied your way to the end of a career.
Yeah, I'd put her in the brig. Like, now.
I want a full report, the ins and outs of everything they just did.
What? You just loyaltied your way to a career. Your career is over. You are fired. You are done. Now write a report and leave it on my desk for the first thing tomorrow. What? Why is she not in the brig? This is the end of your career. But first, I want you to stay in your role and write me a report about exactly what you've done. And don't lie about it, because I'll know. Why are we getting the criminal to tell you what they did while leaving her as your second in command? So we're back here again with a person that nobody cares about in a stupid scene that doesn't make any sense. What a surprise.
Computer, check Red Lady as the name of a vessel.
Are you telling me that you have to tell the computer to run the name as every single individual thing? Check Red Lady as a carrot. Check her as a vegetable. Check her as a mineral. Check her as a ship. Check her as a dock. Check her as a city. Can't you just tell the ship, look for all things relating to the words Red Lady? These future computers are crap. They're worse than Google.
This will be your 23rd search attempt.
Why are you doing 23 searches rather than just a general search for everything?
Red Lady, a vessel docked in the Rigel system. Red Lady, former member of the Tal Shiar.
What? Can you look for Red Lady as the name of a ship? Okay, it's the name of this ship. By the way, it's also a member of the Tal Shiar. That's not what she asked, love. That's a person. That was one of the other searches that I'm sure she will have asked you for. I don't know why you're telling us names of people in your ship search. But she thinks, oh, maybe Red Lady is a target. Show me the events that are happening soon. So the computer brings up a list of future events, and there's 3 of them across the galaxy in months. I tell you, you've got all these planets, but only 3 events are happening. This is incredible. He knocks out 2 of them. Oh, it must be that one. A Red Lady is there. I can't believe I'd ever found this before. That's incredible. It just kind of coincidentally dropped in my lap. This is definitely more Knives Out than Sherlock Holmes. So she travels to the event. She tries to contact them by comms, going, I think you're in danger. For some reason, never opened a comm channel from anywhere else before she flew there. Couldn't send him a text or anything. No. Subspace message? Nah. I had to wait until I was 100 meters away from you before I opened a comm channel. I can't believe I'm too late to warn you. This is so vital. I can't send a text about it.
I believe you're under imminent threat.
You're under imminent threat, which is why I travelled here for hours to get to the right location rather than just phoning you. But at that moment, a weapon comes down, destroys the building, literally sucks it through a portal, and dumps it through another portal onto a different part of the city. I mean, sure, it's damaging, but it's not exactly planet-ending like it was advertised. It's going to take you a long time to do that to the entire planet. One football stadium at a time. Back to the best duo on the show, and they're now at the new ship. They scan the ship, find life signs, and realize that Beverly's in trouble. So they land on the ship.
Adrenaline rush.
From fear or the thought of seeing Beverly?
Both.
Look, I know she's getting on a bit, but it's not that bad. She shouldn't be scaring you, mate. I thought it was a zombie.
Terrific. Your hands are stiff?
I mean, come on, he's probably just grateful that something is, you know, remind him what it feels like.
My knees are killing me. So long as we don't have to move or shoot, we should be fine.
Like I say, Riker carries this thing. It's a good line. And yeah, you should be fine. As long as Beverly isn't with Wesley, there's no need to shoot anybody. So they go on the ship with their phasers. And I have a big problem with these phasers, because these phasers are essentially what we'd use. They've just put a handguard on the front. And just think of the evolution of how that must have been gone. They came from the stuff we would use, developed the phaser, presumably because they thought that grip and that style had some kind of advantage to it. And now they're just like, it was crap after all. We just went back to how they were originally. I don't even know why we spent all of those decades designing phasers that way when there was no advantage to it at all. It doesn't make sense why we went back to this design. In fact, in the side profile on Riker, it actually looks like the phaser from Enterprise, the prequel. So we have really gone back in time with these. But we go through the ship, and I do appreciate the quad mag lights they've got. Although now he's holding it rather than having it strapped to his wrist. I always like that. That was cool. They work out there's been a fight. Blaster marks on the walls.
Captain? Hey? Old habits.
That was a good little moment. Oh, it's member berries and fan service. Yep, absolutely. And it was a good moment. In fact, for this series, I would have demoted him for captain just so Riker could call him captain the entire way through. I think it'd be way better. But they go through doing this CSI stuff. Oh, there was 3 assailants, maybe 2. I can tell they use the gas as a distraction before they vaporize someone on the floor.
Straight down. Cool. Efficient. Doesn't sound like the Beverly I know.
To be fair, a few more decades putting up with Wesley, I'd have turned into a cold-blooded killer myself as well. But then Riker gets really weird, as he knows that this is a vaporized person and says this.
Seen ashes like this from phaser fire?
Oh yeah, Picard, have you ever seen ashes like this from a vaporized person?
Very peculiar.
That I'm now going to sweep up for some reason with my bare hands? The ashes of a person?
I'll check the bridge.
What are you doing? Oh, look at me as I let the ashes of this corpse go through my fingers. Giving him this half curious, half disgusted by his own actions expression isn't helping him either. This is weird and creepy, and I hope you explain why he's doing it. Because for now, he just leaves. We don't get an explanation of why he's touching dead people. But there's a guy behind him with a phaser. Picard finds Beverly. She's in like cryo or something, because obviously she's wounded. Presumably couldn't be treated, but if we freeze her, then maybe we can pull her out when we can actually give her medical care.
Beverly.
Alright, dude, you're a robot. No one's surprised that you remember her name. So Riker gets pulled in at phaser point. Picard tells him to let him go and then reasons out what's going on. That Beverly's in this chamber, but the controls are on the outside, so obviously somebody else put her in. You care for her, and we're here to help. So if you let us go, we'll help her. So he lowers his phaser, and Riker does something that makes me like him 10 times more than I did already. I burst out laughing when he did this. Elbow to the face, and then takes his gun off him, even though he was lowering it in the first place. Get what you deserve. But this is Beverly's son. We don't get time to think about it though, as the ship gets attacked. It's like, I can't believe you've come here to help us. You've led them straight to us. What do you mean we've been followed? Who's followed you? And at this point I'm like, isn't it okay they've been followed? There is a Titan-class ship right next to you. But no, we keep getting followed, and every time we get caught by them, they have different faces. Whatever that means. And the ship emerges. And oh yeah, it's a bit big. Now, as episode 1, it was a mixed bag. It was definitely better than season 1 and 2, but that's not saying much. It's like, well, I met you today and you didn't kick me in the face, so that's a plus. There were some parts I really liked. I really liked Riker coming back. He was the best thing about the episode, easily. I did like the banter that they had with him and Picard. With Patrick Stewart being how he is, he really needs someone else to actually do a lot of the work for him, and Riker fulfills that easily. I also like the Captain Shaw. I actually like him more than Seven, which is a surprise that I like a new character more than one of the old ones. And even though I do think he's just playing his character from 12 Monkeys, I think it fits in really well here anyway. It leaves a lot to be desired in many places. The whole plans and stories and how we get onto the next place is awful. It is Knives Out territory, coincidence. I can't believe I never thought of this before. Give me a list of every event that's happening in the galaxy. Oh, there's just 3 of them. That was lucky. Their entire plan to take over the ship was awful. So the writing and the plot of this episode was probably on par with season 1 and 2, to be honest. But even that wasn't for all of it. There were individual scenes or individual lines or references that I did really like. And I don't know whether that's just because the characters or the actors delivered them to a point where I'm like, okay, you raised this really sort of mediocre to poor dialogue up to a level of quality, rather than the script being the exception, or whether some things just are genuinely good, they're just a varying quality level overall. And the easily worst part for me out of everything was the character from season 1 and 2 that they've brought back. I don't even know her name. I just know that all of her scenes were entirely pointless and added nothing, and definitely should have been cut. So overall, I'd say this episode is mid, which is a big improvement from season 1 and 2, but I do find that what I liked was dragged down by a lot of other stuff that I think could have been cut entirely. So maybe it gets better as time goes on and we introduce more of the old characters. Considering the quality of interaction and how much I did enjoy Riker and Picard getting back together, I can definitely see as more characters come back in, the quantity of things that I like goes up. But overall, I wasn't blown away. I was bored in parts, and in others, I found it funny and entertaining. And I have to say, in modern entertainment, it's rare to get such a mixed bag of quality levels all in one episode. So it's going to be interesting to see where this one goes. But those are just my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe. More videos like this in the future. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.